Okay, another day. And again, my name's Herb Lair, and I do podcast, Finding Your Happy Place. Today, I'm talking more about it takes a community. And I attended Chenal Valley Church today. And I typically, as far as my class, I sat by Gary Adams. And we'll talk about Gary Adams's days as a Razorback. It was around 1966, 68. He came in from Piggott, and back in the days when Frank Broyles did a lot of retail, he could tell you exactly where Piggott was, and he knew all about the talent that Gary had. He was a quarterback, but he turned to be a defensive back, and Gary won't tell you unless he's asked, and I quizzed him about a number of interceptions, and he had that as far as the record, and he had a lot of those, and that was up until the time of Atwood, and of course Atwood was, All-American, and went to Denver and was all NFL pro out there. But I say that because I sit by Gary every Sunday, and it was funny today because it was raining. I said, "What about the golf?" He always plays golf on Sunday afternoon, and said, "We're not playing today." And I said, "Well." I made a comment to the preacher, Bryce. I said, "Bryce, you're going to have more time today because Gary doesn't play golf and you can go a little longer." And they kind of laughed about that, but it turned out the services was a little longer. And Gary was doing a communion devotional. Now, the big thing about that was that Gary, when he was doing that, he had kind of a Mount Rushmore of people. And in fact, the building we were sitting in class was named for a young person that was killed in a car wreck. So he mentioned him, and he mentioned Haley Wilson, who I knew as well. Haley was a big Longhorn fan, so there's a little bit of a comment about that. But I've recently, I pulled out my Longhorn cap, and that's kind of part of that's in memory of Haley. And you'll see how popular Haley was, but also you can see some things that happened with Haley. I remember going to visit him, and he was near death. It was toward the end, and I went in, and I knew I could get a reaction if I started talking about Longhorns. And I sat there, and I was looking around, and I said, "Well, now, where are we having Longhorn things?" And, you always wonder about people who are laying there and not very... as far as communicating, and all of a sudden he put his hand up there and he grabbed hold of the blanket, and that blanket was burnt orange, and I laughed, and you could see kind of a smile of on his face. So anytime I put the Longhorn cap on, there's another reason for it. I like to remember Haley, but that event is always going to stick in my mind. But then, he talked about a lot of other things and other people. And of course, the focus of the communion devotion was about Jesus Christ. And I wanted to make sure that you see that as far as his devotion. But, he talked about one of the preachers there that had kind of started the congregation there. And that was Burleson. And Burleson was a guy I'd gotten to meet. I was always impressed with he stayed on top of everything, and back in that time he'd get a text and he'd be reacting and everything. And they said, "Well, that's just his mode of operation. He would be on a golf course and you wouldn't know that. So he could be doing about anything and everything." And I've talked to some other people, and they was telling about him being afraid of things like snakes, or he'd be other events that he might show that he's a tough guy, and getting put in a position, and he wasn't as tough as he might sound. So we got into a lot of those kind of comments, and I think that you'll enjoy that part. I also want to encourage people to sign up to be a subscriber. And I've commented a little bit, and you see some of the books here in the background. Again, A Son's Journey says Parkinson's disease caregiver to an advocate and then the one by Frank O'Meara about bend don't break. The point I'm making on that, and I keep making this point, is that when people give up, or when family or friends give up, it goes down pretty fast. So you have to really stay on top of this. Maintenance is a big thing, and I emphasize that about every podcast I do, of doing something, or going and doing. And you have to do that, but you have to be encouraged. And when that encouragement goes away, then that person goes away. And it wouldn't necessarily be me, but it could be a family or friend. Or in the case of the doctor there in the book, he found that out about his mother, and he wondered why she went down so fast. And if you read the book, it's a lot about how you get preoccupied with a lot of activities, and then you just kind of ignore a person. I know in my situation, the biggest thing I found is the old friends and even family. You know, there's a sort of way of saying, well, he's not like he used to be. He's strange, and we're going to just ignore him or put him off somewhere. I think some people have thought, well, maybe he's kind of faking it. I've gone to the doctor several times with that because I don't have the Michael J. Fox image, and they see me doing what I'm doing, and then I go back to the doctor and I say, are you sure? And he says, yeah, he's positive. In fact, I took the test. Now, you're going to say something about, the leaders. It doesn't have to necessarily be Trump or even Biden, but you can see that across the board, where some people have kind of lost it. It may be dementia, but sometimes it may be Parkinson's, and they don't want to be identified. Brett Favre didn't want that label, because once he got the label, he's kind of ignored now. And I saw that when I saw him speak at the Little Rock Touchdown Club. I could tell it right away by his motions and actions. And I can guarantee you there's some people today as leaders that have it, and they don't want that label. They might not have the job they have, or they may be moving on. They want to keep the power and money and everything else rolling in. So I'll let you play that game, but I know it, and people who has it know it. Now, if you tuned in the Willie Geist once, you saw how he handled that situation, not only with his dad, but Ryan Reynolds, who's the big movie star these days. He didn't know really how to handle it with his dad, because it wasn't, the Michael J. Fox type of Parkinson's, but he said he thought his dad had gone nuts, and they kind of put him off in a corner, and they isolated him and his mother, and I've been through that a little bit, and it's not fun, and you go out and you do, and you try to do things, and that's why I do the podcast. So it's pretty critical, and I'm trying to get back that again, that this is a time that if you really want to support people, myself and others, because I talk about people with depression, and I talk about people with anxiety and being delusional, because I am that animal, and when I do that, you're going to see that in other people, and you're going to say, well, I saw that, and I saw how it changed him, and you're going to be seeing changes in me. You probably see it, this year as I've done podcasts. I've done a wide range of people, from TV to celebrities to radio celebrities to executive directors of even the zoo, or out at the Arkansas Museum of Fine Arts. Go down the list, and the top guy at neurology, the chair of the neurology department, his father has Parkinson's, so he was willing to participate. So it's not been a problem getting people to participate, and the message is clear. But we're going into 2025, and that's the National Plan to End Parkinson's, and it's going to be a boondoggle, much like taking the broadband out to the rural market. And if Elon Musk wants to do something, that's the thing he can attack, is money being spent on getting. He's got a really good solution for those remote locations, and that's with his satellite system. So he could take that on, maybe put a little money over in the Parkinson's. And I've got some great ideas on caregivers. I've talked to caregivers, and I know what it takes. And I sure want to have a caregiver like I've had with people that's contact me. Again, I talk about John Michael Hudson. I talk about Lida Adkin Kreiner, and a lot of others that have come to my help and benefit. So time to join in. It's thanks.